Welcome back to part 2 of the black equation. This presentation titled the black equation, B equal N. First, what is an equation? What is an equation? Well, according to the Oxford Canadian Dictionary of English, of Current English, and I quote, an equation is, and I quote, the process of equating one thing with another. Two, an equation is a statement that two mathematical expressions are equal, indicated by an equal sign, unquote. Now first, an equation is the process of equating one thing with another. For example, and as you shall no doubt shortly see, it is like making A equal to B. Secondly, if it is a process, if an equation is a process, it therefore means that in order for any equation to be equal, or in order for any equation to be balanced, work has to be done. It requires some form of activity. Third, if it is a process, meaning that it requires work, whether mental, physical, or otherwise, some form of activity, could it also mean that equations are not equal unless they are proven to be so through logic, reasoning, through critical analysis, common sense, and experience, etc.? Now, fourth, if it is a process, could it mean that some equations are simply not equal and some equations cannot be made equal? For example, just like in mathematics, some equations are rendered or proven unsolvable. The closest mathematicians and physicists may ever get to balance or making an equation equal is through or some equation equal is through approximations. Fifth, could this also means that an equation can be used as the process for equating one person with another person? The process of equating one group of people with another group of people, or equating one nation or one country with another, etc., in order to make it or to make the equation equal, or in order to prove that the two are not equal, or in order to find out why they are not equal and if they can be equal, and if they can be equal, under what state or condition can they be equal? And these are some of the reasons that whenever I, the Mystic Philosopher, hear the word equation, see the word equation, talk or write about the word equation, I cannot help but to immediately think of three other words. Three words that I personally think are the most critically important words in understanding and interpreting the deep spiritual, metaphysical, and abstract thing that from my perspective the word equation represents. And these words are one, the word equal, the word equality, and the word same. This then raises a few other very important questions about each of these words. Starting with the word equal, we have questions such as, what is the meaning and definition of the English word equal? The Oxford Canadian Dictionary of Current English defined the word equal as follows. 1. Identical in amount, size, number, status, etc. 2. Evenly balanced. 3. The same rights or status. 4. Applicable to all in the same way. A person or thing equal to another, unquote. Now, if that is the meaning and definitions of the word equal, the subsequent question that we are tempted to ask are, what do we mean by equal? And what do we mean by being equal? What do we really mean if or when we say that we are equal? In other words, what are we thinking in our mind and innermost thoughts? And are we being truthful or honest if or when we say that we are all equal? Are we truthful and honest when we say we are all equal? Do we know what we are saying when we utter these words? Are we saying what we mean? Are we truly, number 4 or number 5, are we really and truly equal? Number 6, are the human races and any other race, or the human race or any other races, equal one to another? Number 7, how do we know if we are equal? Or how do we know if we are not equal? And this is where I think we can test by using the equation, the process called equation. And number 8, if Thomas Jefferson's statement in the opening line of the United States, July 4th, 1776 Declaration of Independence is true, and I quote, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness," unquote. If this statement is correct and true, as so many people no doubt claim it to be, and if it is intended to be interpreted as a universal statement of truth, meaning all men everywhere, men of every other families, every other races of people and religions on the planet Earth are made by the same God and are equal, and if we all as men were and are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights, then my question is, what has happened to us men? Or what has happened to our Creator and His master plan, along with His blessings on all men since then and now? And why are we today not seeing any manifestations of these self-evident truths of equality among all men, not even to mention equality among women, that was and is not even mentioned in this equation, period? For your information, the word endowed, according to the English dictionary, means to enrich or to provide with, to furnish or to equip with, to bestow a permanent fund or source of income upon, etc. Unquote. Now, if this is correct, then how comes we have so many, or why do we have so many men of all races that are classified by the system as being poor? Number 9, how are we Or how can we be equal if or when some of us are labeled and profiled as being of a different class of people, of a different race of people? Example, how can we be equal when we are not only called by different class or class titles, but we are treated as the titles and labels by which we are called and labeled? For example, how can we or how are we equal if or when we are classified as being upper class and middle class, the lower class, the poor class, the poorer class, the rich class, the commoners, the subjects, and possibly the no class? How can we be equal if or when we are classified as being as the, for example, the black race, the white race, the yellow race, etc.? Number 10, if it is true that we are equal under this system's law, then are we also equal to those that are above the system's law? 11, question 11, are we equal to those who make the law, legislate the law, enact the law, administer the law, and enforce the law, etc.? Number 12, is the master equal to the slave, and is the slave equal to the master? Number 13, and another quite intriguing question that also comes to mind here is this: can opposites be equal? Or are opposites equal? 14, example, if the word black, its color, its sign, and its symbol equal to, is the word black, its color, its sign, and its symbol, is it equal to the word white? Its color, its sign, and its symbol? And 15, is good equal to evil, or is evil equal to good? Is north equal to south, or is east equal to west? If so, how can it be? And if not, why not? Now, these are just some of the many questions that arise out of knowing the definition of the word equal. The second word here is equality. What is equality? Or what is meant by the word equality? If equality, according to the English dictionary, means 1, the condition of being equal, my first question here would be, is equality for everything and everyone possible? Number 2, question 2, who or what it is that determines our equality? Or who or what it is that guarantees our equality? Number 3, if we are all equal, why are our senses telling us that we are not either being seen or treated by the system or by many others as equal? 4, question 4, if we are equal, then why are others and possibly our own senses telling us that we have to get up, we have to stand up, we have to speak up and fight for our equality? And if we are equal, who or what are we supposed to fight for our equality? Number 5, and if we are truly not equal, how can we have or expect to have equality? And 6, can opposite experience true equality, or the thing called equality? The third word is the word same. And that is just one of the words that I just cannot avoid thinking about whenever I hear the word equation. I, the Mystic Philosopher, have to think about this word, same. So the word equation Whenever I see the word equation, talk or write about the word equation, I have to think of also about the word same. This is a word that is quite frequently used, and I have found that very few people ever take time out to examine the word or to question themselves as to whether or not they are saying exactly what they mean or exactly what they intend to say when they use the word same. And especially those of us that do not have our own language and are borrowing, or that have no other alternative but to use the alien oppressor's English language to try and say what we truly mean or intend. So what do we mean by the word same? For example, what do we mean when we say that we are the same? Or that everybody is the same? And are we, or can we all be the same? Again, let us look at the meanings of the English word same from one English dictionary. According to the Winston Canadian Dictionary for Schools, the word same mean, and I quote, being one. Number one, being one, identical. Number two, similar in kind or quality. And number three, equal, unquote. The free dictionary.com also echo the same definitions. And I quote, same, one, number one, being the very one, identical, the same boat we rented before. That's an example, as in the same boat we rented before. Number two, definition number two, similar in kind, quality, quantity, or degree. I also ask that you just Google this word and follow along on the internet. You find this, I'm quoting right now from dictionary.com, freedictionary.com. Number three definition, conforming in every detail. An example, according to the same rules as before. And number four, being the one previously mentioned or indicated aforesaid, unquote. Now, the most important fact about the word same that I would like to point out is that it is an adjective. And an adjective, or at the very least, an adjective is a word that describes the state, quality, and characteristics, etc., of the noun or the pronoun. Therefore, in definition 1, the word same is describing a state or a condition of two or more things, or two or more nouns, as being one, or two or more things as being one, functioning as one, as becoming one, belonging to one thing, as being identical. Let me repeat that. The definition, therefore, in definition 1, the word same is describing a state or a condition of two or more things, or two or more nouns, as being one, or two or more things as being one, functioning as one, two or more things functioning as one, or as becoming one, or as belonging to one thing, or also as being identical. Examples. These 12 individual apples are from the same one apple tree, and as such, they are all the same. In this example, the word same would generally mean, or interpret or imply, that because they are from the same apple tree, they are similar, or they are alike in kind, and in quality. In other words, if by sampling one of these 12 apples and by our judgment arrive or through our senses we determine that it is good, then the other 11 apples should also be good. Or at the very least, if one is good, the other 11 are expected or judged by us to be good. If one is red in color, the other 11 would look alike, and if one is sweet, the rest are also expected to be sweet, etc. And why? Because they are from the same tree. So we generally assume that they are the same. However, some of us can testify to having experiences that are quite the opposite. I have personally picked fruits from fruit trees, apple trees included, only to discover that all the fruits are not the same, but that they only have one thing in common, and that they are from the same tree. I have found that some fruits from the same tree are bigger, some taste sweeter, some are brighter in color, and even more wholesome than others. The fact is that the fact that the apples are from the same tree does not necessarily mean that they are the same, meaning they are identical or equal in every respect. Second example, these 12 individuals, or these 12 people, are from the same race, or break it down, from the same parents, the same family, from the same blood. Or if you want to take it a little lower, they're from the same root, the same tree. And as such, they are the same. Again, in this example, the word same would generally mean or imply that because they are from the same race, from the same source, from the same blood, you name it, they are similar. They are alike in quality and in character, etc. And as such, they are expected to behave and to be treated as being the same. In other words, if one of these 12 people is somehow judged by us to be good, then the other 11 should also be good. Or, at the very least, if one is good, the other 11 are also expected to be judged, are also expected or judged to be good. If one has high melaninated skin tone, etc. And why? The other 11 are also expected to have high melanin skin tone. And why? Because they are from the same tree. We generally assume that they are the same. However, I need not labor this point any further, for most of us may admit that even though these 12 people are from the same one race, same parents, same family, same blood, same root, same source, they are really not the same. They are all uniquely different in their own ways, or in their own way. For as the old saying goes, we have, and many of us have that experience with this old saying, 7 brothers, 7 different minds. We may also agree that if there is only one source, the source that we may define as being the source of all sources, then we are essentially the same. We are essentially the same, meaning we are all from the same source, same root, and are made up of the same stuff or same substance. And from my perspective, that stuff or substance is called no thing. Therefore, our so-called physical or material body, along with our energy or our spirit, if you will, and our soul or our identity, etc., is essentially made up of or made from nothing. And again, this is assuming that assuming that we were indeed made. However, if my senses and judgment are to be trusted and relied upon, then I would suggest that in this respect, we are the same, but we are not equal, or we are not equally the same. In other words, we are not proportioned by our source with everything equally, and nor could we be, or else we would lose our individual identity. Next point that we should also bear in mind is that the fact that two things can or might be equal, that fact does not necessarily mean that they are the same. For example, A is not B and B is not A. For even though A and B both belong to the same tree, or the same parent, or same alphabet, they both have different values. They both have different sounds. They both have different characteristics. They both have different looks, different shapes, different functions, different identities, and even different positions in the family or in the alphabet, etc. However, under or given certain condition, under certain condition or given certain condition or state, A can be equal to B and B can be equal to A. So some facts for us to bear in mind as we continue, and they are as follows. 1. Equation does not necessarily mean same or equal, but equation is the process that is used to make people or things equal and the same. Or let's say it another way. Equation is the process that is used to prove whether or not people or things are equal and the same. An equation is the process that is used to prove if people or things can be equal or can be the same. Number 2, two or more people or things with individual identities can or should only be said to be equal or to be identical and the same under the same circumstances or state or on the same given condition. Under the same circumstance, under the same state, or under the given condition. Number 3, equal and equality, same and sameness are all conditional. In other words, each can or will only be experienced under certain state or condition. Number 4, and to say that same means no difference and unvarying is not entirely correct. Number 5, two people or two things might be equal but not the same. For example, a good king and a bad king might have equal status as king and equally be king, but the fact is that they are not the same. In other words, one is good and one is bad. They're not the same. In summary, it is very important that we think carefully as to what we truly mean when we say that people and things are the same, and when we say that people or things are equal. And that is why it is, and it can be very dangerous, can be very misleading and unfair if or when we try to label entire families, entire groups, entire communities, or entire races of people as being one thing or another, as being good or bad, or as being black or white, etc. Now this is the end of part 2 of my presentation on the black equation B equal N, wherein I focus on the words equation, equal, and the word same. Now please join me in part 3 of the black equation B equal N resolve, wherein I will focus on what the black equation, both the long form and the short form. So I will focus on both long form and short form of the black equation. There I will resolve it. I am the Mystic Philosopher. Please join me. See you then.